State House and what's happening in Ohio are very similar things, and we want to make sure things are staying on the right track at all times. We thought the best thing I can do as a state representative is make sure I'm fulfilling my job role, which is 80% communication. So having these people with the expertise in the room is ideal for this situation. I wanted to make sure that the community leaders, the community members, and the business, that we understand the opportunities that we have, the economic impact that we have, what's happening with natural resources in Ohio, and how that looks bigger than just from a landowner perspective, looking at the supply chain, and more importantly, being good stewards to our earth and looking at the natural resource development as a process and what it really truly means when getting down to the bare raw science of it. We have professionals who are geologists, we have professionals from many different arenas that can explain this process to us as a group. And I just wanted to share my education with you. With all of the information that I've had in Columbus, I wanted to make sure that that was transparent and available to the people in my community. So I'm honored to have the group of people I have here today. I think that we have a great deal of information to share, and I certainly appreciate you engaging and doing your civic duty and participating and understanding what's happening in Ohio. First, I would like to introduce Rhonda. She's the Executive Director of the Ohio Oil and Gas Energy Education Program. She's going to share about a 15-minute presentation with us, and then I will ask the panel to introduce themselves and share their expertise. We will then open the floor to you to ask any questions or any concerns that you might have, because as you can see, we have an incredibly talented panel this evening, and I would hate to cut the information short. I would like to welcome you, Rhonda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. I'm basically going to talk about, I guess, a very quick introduction to why we're even talking about the expansion of oil and gas here in the state of Ohio. There's a lady behind the curtain over there. Just so you know, it's not the Wizard of Oz, that's Rachel Polson, and she's going to flip through a couple slides. Also, we have a number of handouts in the back that deal with the economic impact study that was just completed here in Ohio that addresses primarily the upstream and midstream side of the oil and gas business. We have also provided you with a couple geological maps, and ironically those are courtesy of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, the Division of Geological Survey, and I know Larry Wickstrom, who is the chief, is going to have a few words to say, but we did want to get those handouts as a takeaway for you. Let's go ahead and get started here. Hard to believe that 150 years ago here in the state of Ohio, believe it or not, whale oil was still the fuel of choice, even in this part of the country. And if you can see even this Vanity Fair article, I think it's really neat, dating back to 1861. And that is, yes, that is the whales celebrating the discovery of crude oil. The very first refining, go ahead and skip to the next slide, was simply taking crude oil over an open bucket, and early distillation, they created something called kerosene. It's that kerosene that actually replaced the whale oil. And as we know, there are a lot of things that can be refined from oil and gas today, but the refining process is much different. Other products that came out, there was a lady by the name of Mabel Williams that actually took that crude oil over an open flame. She cooked it to a black residue. Her company today is Maybelline. We still use companies such as Vaseline. What is Vaseline? It's pure petroleum jelly. Okay, it's still awesome for scrapes and cuts. So why do I bring that up is what you're talking about here is really an energy, a products, an economic boom that started here in Ohio more than a century and a half ago. So oil and gas drilling is not new to the state. The difference is technology. We're no longer using hollowed out tree trunks as our casing. Okay? We're no longer using hollowed out tree trunks as our natural gas pipelines. But I know you're in Dominion country here, and they can show you a lot of samples of those hollowed out tree trunks. It's all about changes in technology, and I'm going to talk to you really about the economics as a result of the technology changes today. And to give you an idea of the company that I used to work for, 20 years ago, one of our budget items was colored pencils. And we actually had a map in the department 20 years ago that sat there with colored pencils, and we were trying to create maps of what was going on underneath the ground. So again, technology has come a long way, not just for our industry, but let's face it, in all of your lives every day. Today, this gives you an idea. I love this picture because this is from National Geographic, and it is a Stowe, Ohio family. And this gives you an idea of all the products that we use or refine from crude oil today. And that doesn't take into account natural gas. And most people don't realize that natural gas can be further processed into helium, propane, butane, and all the different types of pentanes. And so it's amazing what both crude oil and natural gas, all the different products that we all use every single day. In fact, the average person uses 3 gallons of these refined products each day. So let's talk about current energy demands. According to the Energy Information Administration, this is the most recent data, we're currently using 100 quadrillion BTUs of energy each year. Think about it, it took us 150 years to start using 100 quadrillion BTUs. Oil and gas make up over 60% of that, coal about 23%, nuclear about 8%, hydro about 3%, renewables about 3%. In less than 2 decades, we're going to go to 124 quadrillion BTUs of energy. What you don't see change a whole lot up here is that pie chart. And the reality is most people don't realize that 20% of our electricity use alone is just for computers. We are not using fewer computers. There's probably no one in this room that doesn't have a cell phone. Okay, then we've got these iPads and Xboxes and PlayStations, all these things, even in electric cars, that need to be plugged in. And the 2 hardest things to explain to somebody is, one, that energy doesn't come from 2 little slices in a wall, and then what goes on 5,000 feet underneath the ground. So here in Ohio, according to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, last year we drilled 431 wells. But to give you an idea, exactly 30 years ago, we drilled over 6,000 wells here in the state of Ohio. We will never drill 6,000 wells again here in the state of Ohio in a single year. But what happens is the technology has gotten so much better. We're drilling fewer dry holes. And if you think about a horizontal well, that replaces 15 to 20 vertical wells. So you're also dealing with an overall smaller environmental footprint. Last year we produced about 78 billion cubic feet of natural gas and not quite 5 billion barrels of crude oil. And obviously you're going to see those numbers change significantly. We recently did an economic impact study. It was an update to our 2008 study, which, interesting enough, at that time, we were actually looking at the economic impact on an increase in urbanized drilling. This was conducted by a firm by the name of Kleinhans and Associates, and we just released that economic impact study in September. What's the purpose of the study? It really isn't for the media. The purpose of the study is so that we can identify holes in our infrastructure. Whether we can identify, are we going to have the workforce? Do we have the pipelines? Do we have the capacity to do that? That's why we did the economic impact study.